Alright, we're recording. Hey, welcome back to the Alexandrian Codex. I'm Alex. This is where the water tastes like wine. That was cacophonous. I had my headphones turned up way too loud. So we finished up in California. We're going to Oregon, Washington. Yeah. Give me that money I can't use. Excellent. I'll be real, the whistling does detract from the music quite a bit. It didn't at first. Having some texture problems right here. Or mesh problems, probably. No, I've never actually driven up this highway. When I've gone into Oregon from California, it's never been along the coast. It's always been through the mountains. If you're ever heading into Oregon through California, go along the coast. Driving through the mountains is horrifying. Especially at night, in the rain and the fog. Pretty scary. Thrilling in a way, but mostly just scary.
Madame Mina's fabulous boa constrictor is a highlight of Runciter's circus. The boy is uncertain. The snake flicks his nose with its tongue, and he starts crying. Mina steps behind the curtain as the next performer comes on, and you hear a shout from backstage. Mina's standing over a man in blue overalls. Her constrictor is wrapped around his ankle.
He tried to grab my snake.
She kicks him in the ribs.
Paul grabbed back. This guy must be the one who killed the tiger. Watch him. I'll get Runciter.
She leaves.
Never grab a lady snake without her permission.
The animals are miserable.
He tries to crawl, but Paul consolidates his grip.
Runciter only cares about money, not the animals. I wanted to put them out of their misery. Please, don't let them take me. Runciter won't call the police this time.
This is some PETA great shit. Oh, the animals are unhappy, so I thought I'd just kill them, put them out in their misery. Yeah, okay. No.
He kicks and wails, trying to shake off the snake.
Please,
he begs.
I'm not a bad guy. I just wanted to help him.
Runciter steps through the curtain and takes in the scene. He smiles.
I think that tiger's mate would like to see you. You bastard.
Again, this just, infers bestiality to me. I know what it's supposed to infer is that the tiger's mate is gonna eat him, but bestiality. It is kind of cool how certain stories are part of a chain, like the Runciter's Carnival. We started getting one of them, and then it's all been carnival events.
You find yourself once again at Runciter's Circus.
Runciter's Circus, not Carnival.
Mina gives you a cautious look, but can't hide her delight at the baby tiger in her arms.
Sitka, the tiger that horrible man poisoned. His mate had a cub. Isn't she darling?
That's a fucking big cub.
The tiger's fur is incredibly soft.
That man was wrong to hurt the animals. But what Runciter did to him...
She shuts her eyes.
Runciter doesn't care about the animals, as long as they make him money.
She dangles the cub above her face.
What kind of life is that?
Maybe you throw a Runciter to the tiger. Maybe, you turn it into your circus. You can change that.
She presses her lips together.
You're right. I know how Runsiter thinks. Even if he only cares about money, people will pay more to see happier animals. I think I can talk to him in his language.
She nods.
You speak my
I'll set him
language.
straight. Thank you.
No problem? So, these stories, the Runster series, is kind of weird because it's all one story, but it's one story dragged out into a bunch of small parts, whereas a bunch of the other stories we've run into have been self-contained. Having them be episodic is an odd choice. A horse auction. Well-dressed man waves you over, making some big deals today, he brags, fingering a bill where you can see, get me when number 60 comes up, okay? Stand in the crowd and wait, then run back to fetch him. He pays you absurdly well for doing almost nothing at all. What's getting better? I'm listening. Told you the story. Pig farmers haunted by Meemaw. Yeah, that was the story. Yeah, but it would never make clear what the fuck Meemaw was. Except not a ghost. Ah, shit.
The way the crowd
There's a story over
cheers
there.
when she walks out, you're expecting a lurid freak show. But when she starts to sing, her voice is light and warm, rich on the ears. The audience falls into a rapt silence. The man in the next seat turns to you.
Isn't she something?
I suppose she is.
We find love in the strangest places. I was a broker before the country went to shit. Now, this place is doing better than any bank.
Hell yeah, when you don't have a lot of money, you want to spend it on something that'll make you feel good.
It's the truth. No matter people can barely afford to feed themselves, they'll come here. They need to be reminded that there's joy and spectacle in the world.
Yeah.
He pauses.
And music.
When the show's over, you see them together, arm in arm. He smiles.
Join us for a drink?
Okay.
You drink the night away with him. She's quick to laugh and quick to make others laugh. He is kind and generous with the bottle and looks content just to hear her talk.
That's cute. Alright, running back down the coast. Ah. It's so weird. QuickTime events are one of my least favorite game mechanics. So having walk faster
The
being tied to
candles
that.
flicker as she waves one hand over the ball. Silver mist swirls up inside it. The tent feels closer around you. Her eyes study you intently as she sets the orb on the table.
Tell me what you see, and I will guide you.
I see
She leans forward.
Yes?
an old
Her
friend.
eyes widen.
Someone long lost. Do they have black hair down to here?
She gestures.
And skin like mine?
I guess? Yes.
She leans forward, knuckles whitening over the edges of the table.
What more do you see?
Sunlight?
Her face creases into a smile.
That means I'll see them again soon. That they've forgiven me.
She laughs, long and joyful, leaning back in her chair.
Take this.
She passes you a coin.
It's only proper. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Weird to have, yeah, Mystic wanted to know her own destiny. That would be a very interesting thing, going to a soothsayer and just being like, alright, now Madame Vasquez her future. What? That's what you paid for. You paid to tell me my future.
None of the cats seem to be from the same litter. More like some community of strays.
It's an analogy.
They rub against the little girl's ankles,
Symbolism.
showering her with affection while paying you no mind.
Do grown-ups like cats?
Some people.
The girl thinks real hard, hand on chin, while she deciphers the implications of your statement.
I mean, some grown-ups don't like cats?
She looks gravely upset and hugs the striped tabby half to death. Your question animates the girl, who points at the cats one by one.
Here's Milton, and Maurice, and Gertrude.
Gertrude.
This goes on a while. Whenever she seems about done, the horde grows.
You want to pet them?
Milton, Maurice, and Gertrude. Those are some elderly sounding names for felines. Sure,
You
I will
reach
pet the
for
cat.
a black cat, who ducks and weaves to evade your touch. Another cat hisses at you. For what reason, who can know?
They like you. Yay!
You feel like you've made a powerful friend.
Okay.
Is Daddy still sleeping?
The girl whines.
I'm bored.
I'm bored.
The boys share a look.
Yeah, see, he was real tired.
They see you. The one boy pulls C away, saying,
I think I saw a lizard. Come on.
the remaining boy silently gestures for you to look in the car.
Daddy dead.
A man in faded overalls
Yup.
is curled up over the back seats. He's not breathing,
He's gone.
says the boy, tracing his foot in the dust.
I need help to get him out.
You
Okay.
carefully lift the body out of the car.
You don't have nothing to dig a hole.
You settle for laying the body behind a boulder, which the boy marks with chalk.
We got family back east. I know how to drive. We got enough gas for another day, maybe?
We'll definitely give the
Thank
kid
you.
money.
This will buy us enough gas to get us somewhere we can find help.
He glances at the boulder and hides his face from you.
I tell C, Dad went on ahead.
Dude, you gotta tell her her dad's dead at some point. Who this? New person. Rose. Jonathan Nordhog.
Well, hey there. What's happening, stranger? Pull up a seat if you want to share.
You look like you got dropped out in the 1960s.
I guess my deal is pretty clear. You probably see 100 long-haired, bangle-wearing freaks on the road every day. We're the only ones still hitching around, I guess.
What? You don't exist for 40 years. What are you doing here?
Bummer. Because this is a beautiful place when you take the time to smell the flowers, huh? Anyway, you got any good, hopeful stories about the world becoming a better place?
You have a very nice voice. Yeah, how about the seagulls?
Oh, that's a good one. You gotta tell me more about those folks sometime.
The birds?
The future. I used to think it was all so clear, so inevitable. It was the dawning of a new age, remember that? Harmony and understanding.
Yeah, the age of Aquarius. Yeah.
Wasn't that easy, huh?
No.
So, got any good, hopeful stories? Anything about what the world should be?
You seem kind of high on hope, which, you know, fair, but I was the wrong man to come to. The man who ate only molasses. This used to be hopeful. I think it's still hopeful.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. I'll share that one when I get back home. Joys I had. Well, I loved being a kid. Of course, I didn't know that at the time. Who does?
Yeah, I was gonna say that you love the memory of being a kid.
I thought a scraped knee or ripped doll was the end of the world. But looking back, those were the days.
Man, I just saw... God, there's a quote that's just on the tip of my brain, tip of my tongue. You don't know what the good old days are until they're over. You don't know how good things were until they get worse. Something like that. I mean, those are truisms that are just like opaquely and blatantly true. But oh my god, no, there's something.
So anyway,
something
got any good
that's
ghost
triggering.
stories? Anything scary?
Hell yeah,
weird?
scary and weird. My dear girl, you were in the right place.
Oh wow, that's scary stuff. You are really good at telling these.
Thank you.
Authority? My dad was big on following rules. Came from being in the army, I guess. But that wasn't my bag. I was a free spirit, he said. With love when I was a kid. More bitterly when I was older.
Kind of weird to have a character who seems very hippie-ish in this time period.
Anyway, you got any good hopeful stories about the world becoming a better place?
Maybe when she tells her story, it'll make more sense, but she seems very out of place thematically. Need a hopeful story. Hopeful story. Hopeful story. Hopeful story.
Oh, that's a good one. You gotta tell me more about those folks sometime.
I miss the stories that we had that were all about like socialists and communists and workers unions and stuff like that. Those are really good ones, but so many stories are just like, it's a spooky ghost.
A certain kind, anyway. I knew there had to be something else out there. Love, peace, and most of all, understanding. Somewhere there were people who thought the way I did, and they'd take me in and we'd live in beautiful harmony together.
Man, the syntax, the lingo, the word choice is very 60s.
You know, I'd love to hear a really good scary story.
Dope. You want a scary story? How about Walking Willis? Wait, is this exciting? This is probably exciting. This isn't scary. Willis ain't scary.
Sounds like we're on different grooves with that joke stuff.
It's funny? Willis is funny? God, alright.
My travels. Well, I've been on the road a while now, but I didn't get to travel as a kid. Not really. We moved a bit when my dad was in the army, but all base towns are pretty much the same. The first time I left was to go to the Haight.
Yeah, to Haight Ashbury? No, you didn't.
there
Not in the
it is.
30s.
And I feel like I've been doing all the talking. But the sun's coming up soon, so I gotta get ready to go.
Down to Nevada.
Heard some interesting stuff about a group of folks getting by up this way.
Alright.
And where are you going? What's your deal, Seeker? What's the future hold for you?
Yeah, the Hippie. Rose is called the Hippie. Look, you doing making a game about the Depression and putting a hippie in it. It's decades apart. You were doing a pretty okay job with the Americana stuff. Strange Car from Space. Like, I get that there are good stories to tell about that time period, and it captures a lot of American culture, personality, character. But it's really, really out of context for this game. I feel like that's a big misstep, as is the use of VW vans so often. Like, a couple of the characters have said, like, oh, well, you'll find things out of time, but that just seems unresourceful to me. Like, having stuff from the past, in form of ghosts, kinda makes sense. Having stuff from the future, doesn't.
The man checks a wristwatch and swears under his breath. His fingernails have been chewed down to the skin.
Bus is late,
He says without looking at you.
Bus where?
The man looks confused by your question. Upon inspection, the tickets in his hand show a stamp and receipt of sale, but the destination is obscured.
2
Man
tickets?
looks at the tickets in his hand as if he hadn't known they were there. Slowly, some comprehension colors his expression.
somebody came and went.
What's your name?
Some time passes. Quite a bit of time. You figure he didn't hear. So when he finally answers, it's nearly a non sequitur.
My name's Milton.
We'll wait with Milton. Why
The man
not?
pops his knuckles one finger at a time and starts over. When a wren lands nearby and sings a little, you're grateful for the sound.
Weird. There was a guy waiting for a bus, yeah? And then what? Nothing. He was just waiting
You
for a
lie down
bus.
for a nap in an abandoned rail car, delighted to find it still has actual berths, but wake to the sway of a carriage in motion, the rhythmic rattle of the rails, and the crack of gunfire. The porter is one of the biggest men you've ever seen. He holds out a hand.
Don't trouble yourself.
He addresses the carriage. His voice rattles your ribcage.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. I shall have this situation resolved shortly.
4 bandits on horses keep pace with the train, trading shots with someone in a carriage further ahead. The porter slips out of your car. "Isn't Joe a wonder?" says the woman seated next to you.
He's been on his feet for hours already.
Okay.
You hear heavy feet on the roof. Joe's booming voice vibrates through the carriage as he addresses the bandits. You don't hear what he says, but after a minute, the bandits slow their horses and drop back from view. Joe re-enters.
Is everyone all right?
Tip the man.
Joe smiles.
Thank you. I don't get no tips till the end of the run.
Alright.
You don't know how you got here, but it's hard not to feel safe under Joe's watch. You wake up back in the disused train yard. In the dawn light, you see the rusting stock here was laid to rest long ago.
Cool.
You leave an offering on your berth and slip out of the carriage.
Hell yeah. Joe the Pullman Porter. Oh, right. We learned about him a little bit from the other porter character whose name I forgot because it's been like 8 hours since I talked to him. Seattle. This is not what the coast near Seattle. Yeah, I mean, it's close enough. Whatever. It's raining, of course. People hurry through the streets with their collars up and water streaming off their hats. North Pioneer Square, there's a Hooverville with its own mayor, they say.
On top of a hillside boxcar, 4 men in sailors' clothes fix their eyes on the distant waterfront, where a crowd of hundreds clashes with uniformed cops. From this far, the sound resembles some loud, tenacious animal.
You know, now I've been to quite a few Seattle museums. Not really any of them have made much of a point to talk about what this area was like during the Depression.
After a while of silence, one of the men responds. You notice his bruised eye.
Waiting on the police to deal with those strikers so we can get back to work.
Why aren't you on
The
strike?
man clenches his fists.
Hey, mind your damn business.
Fucking collaborator.
One of those bastards dragged me off the pier and...
The police open fire into the crowd. As the shots ring out, the character of the sound changes altogether into terror and pain.
Oh, fuck this. Bye. No point
Bye.
dying for a day's work.
True.
The man crawls to the edge of the boxcar and hops off. The sound of gunfire continues all across the port, but the dense picket line remains unbroken.
Earn money. Look for work. Ah, the meat locker. Yeah. Quit early. Get paid for next time. Bring the right clothes. Fuck off. I'm not buying anything. I'm not taking a train anywhere. I think at this point we just want to wrap up Washington and go meet random people. And then go finish everybody's story, and presumably the game will end at that point. I don't know. Oh yeah, we really just ignored Eastern Washington, Eastern Oregon. Let's switch out our stories, because I know we have at least one full-eyed story. Yeah, this one. Da 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 dum, da 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 da. Man, how is this not come back to us with the end story by now? I've been telling that damn seagull story over and over. Maybe it has to be in the right region. We only have 8 stories left to go, so I'm feeling positive. August by Ann Toole. Tui?
You see me here? You think you know me?
No.
I didn't start out in the gutter. I was raised right. Mama taught me to read off the Bible.
Don't know if that's being raised right.
But I'd save up my nickels for the collection plate and buy story rags instead. That smell of wood and paper.
Story rags? Is that slang?
But you know, the books I miss the most is the hopeful ones. Got any of those?
Bum 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 bum.
Leaves a warm feeling in your chest, huh? My future. I didn't know then, but my future was all spelled out in those rags. Anyhow, you got any stories that end looking up? I miss those hopeful ones.
Man, it seems like hopeful stories are what people have been wanting the most. Funny and hopeful stories. Sad ones, sometimes. Scary ones, sometimes. Exciting ones, almost never. Maybe that's just confirmation bias on my part. Man who ate only molasses. Da, 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 da.
Well, that one sure makes me smile. Talking about joy. Best hours of my life were spent hiding behind my daddy's chair, reading those stories, where I was climbing mountains and crossing rivers. I saw the world in them, I did. But anyway, you seen anything good and funny out here?
Funny. Walking Willis is apparently funny. Though I don't get it.
Ain't laughed like that in a while. Travel. Those rags showed me everything travel could be. They took me all over the world. I sailed up the Nile in Egypt. I seen the Statue of Liberty and all those folks coming to America. All of it.
Am I important when talking to a hipster? I do not believe this gentleman is a hipster. These are sailor tattoos. The bottle of hooch and the this is an obscured sailor's outfit. This is very nautical. The music sounds very nautical to me.
So I miss them blood-pounding adventure stories. You got any like that?
And we're right outside of Seattle right now. Adventure stories. How about the vigilantes who hunt grave robbers across the Midwest? That exciting?
Come on, that can't be true. Sorrow ain't like that.
Sad? How the fuck is that sad?
Morals and stuff. What I did with the collection plate, I didn't steal from God. He don't need our dough.
Oh, so you stole from the collection plate. Alright. I finally looked over. Like, oh, Jesus. Blurry boy. West Blurry boy? West Blurry boy, yeah.
But anyhow, you got any of them sad stories? Anything lonesome or tragic?
Listen, now you want a fucking sad story? Boy who ran away with his father in May. This seems sad to me. If this isn't sad, I don't know what is.
I like the hard ones, when they end good. And that one's good. I did my chores, said my prayers every day. I was a good boy.
I was a good boy. I just stole from the church.
But in those rags, I was free. I could be whoever I wanted.
Why do you keep calling them rags?
My daddy wanted me to quit reading them rags. Said it'd kept me from hard work. Got his wish, but he didn't get hard work instead. Anyway, I'm headed out this way when the sun comes up. I like your tales. Hope we cross paths again.
The Sailor. Is that everyone? Did we? Hold on. Progress. That's everyone. So we got Althea, August, Bertha, Cassidy, Dehea, Dupree, Fedalina, Franklin, Jimmy, Little Ben, Mason, Quinn. Mason? We're done with Mason? Fucking what? No. He's just ready for the next chapter. Ray, Rocio? Rose is so out of place. Fucking hippie. The 1960s aren't for 20-something years. And then Shaw. You don't belong, Rose. You're a thematic departure from what has been established at the setting of this game. It seems to me to be a great misstep in the narrative choice. What the hell? This at the end of Washington? That was fast.
The man squints at you, a smile spreading on his face. You feel exposed, like he's picturing you naked.
I can see your light.
He slurs.
See my aura?
He snorts, possibly in mirth. No. He taps his nose and drops to a stage whisper. It runs deeper. He offers you the bag.
You can see it too.
Oh yeah.
It's bitter, but warmth rushes through you as it slides down your throat. Your eyes start to tingle. There's something behind him. A glow creeping over his shoulder. Your vision swims. You can see the light of every living thing. Coruscating colors. Patterned auras clinging to everything.
Yeah, Wolfman said that time is messed up, so it kind of makes sense. But I think the whole time is messed up bit is just an excuse for trying to capture vague Americana. Like I was saying, I think stories from the past make sense because ghosts and stuff like that, or stories being passed down through time. But stories from the future is just weird, and it's very immersion breaking for me. Like, it doesn't feel like a real world anymore. It felt like a real world, but then the VW buses and the hippie stuff is just like, why? That's modern half of the 20th century, or the newer half, or latter half of the 20th century. It's already in our collective unconscious and collective not even unconscious, it's in our collective consciousness, our collective culture in the modern United States. But a lot of these stories, they're so cool because they're old stories and seeing how they were built together. And I don't know, the hippie just seems really out of place.
Everything feels connected. You have a sense of oneness, a feeling of inner harm.
I mean, the voice actress is great and the writing has been sweet so far, but it's really out of place.
The butterflies wreathed in green, trailing red smoke. It's the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. You must chase it immediately. You follow for what feels like a few minutes. But as the sight fades and the stomach cramps start, you realize hours have passed. Your eyeballs ache and you feel exhausted, but the warmth stays within you. You could see so much light in the world.
Huh. It's odd, we still have stories to find. Is there anything on this side of the river? Not looking like it. Like we hit up... Is that Spokane over there? Might be. Fuck that up immediately.
Woohoo! That one's got a wild spirit to her.
Got a wild
She
spirit.
remarks, sweat pooling under her dark brown eyes. The car, halted in the middle of her garage, is a groaning, hulking beast. A gorgeous pre-Ford monstrosity, handmade for speed and grace, and perhaps not so much durability.
A ghost, a white, a soul, whatever you want to call it. Course cars have them.
She sighs.
But every year, there's less wild ones and more of these damn Model Bs. Tame things, weak and sorry.
She strokes the swooping hood of the luxury car like one might groom a prize stallion.
These beauties, not even their owners really understand them. But today's cars have petty souls. They're meant to ferry accountants to and fro, not to run wild on the open road.
I never really understood the magicalness of the open road. Like, it just seems wasteful to me. Like, it burns gasoline, which produces pollution, and wastes money and energy just to go driving on the open road. It's just... I don't know. It can't be helped?
Oh, but it can. They might not make them like we used to, but we can make the new ones better. Kindle the fires of the deadened soul of the modern car.
She points towards a motley pile of steel and chrome on the corner of her shop. Pieces salvaged from all kinds of machines.
We can give them bigger engines, bigger wheels, bigger power. If men have given up on building monsters, who's to say this woman can't turn their pets into monsters, huh?
Well, I mean, I guess. I don't really get sports cars, though. They're impressive, they're loud, and violent, but... Holy shit, we got the final seagull one! I can finally take that story off. My god. It's been so long.
Folks wilt out of every car window, smoking cigarettes and jeering at the quiet crowd gathered outside the train. You spot the detectives by their shirts, buttoned so tight the fabric bites into their necks. Seems this ride's been stalled some time now.
Train, crowd, train.
Passenger leans out of a stairwell.
This ain't the station, traveler. This train won't take you nowhere anyhow.
What? Asshole, how could I mistake a train for a station? Fuck you.
Guy fell out of the car into the wheels. Folks talking murder, but I've had my heart broken. Probably some drunk took a tumble.
The man sighs and fans himself with the checkered tip of his tie.
But you had your heart broken? What? What?
Just a little. Used to think rail travel had it all. Damsels tied to tracks, murder mysteries, armed robberies, adventure.
The man shakes his head.
Mostly, some jobless fella dives into the cow catcher. Yeah, well, life ain't like the pictures. That's what my pop says. Boy, sure wish somebody would wring his neck.
Jesus Christ.
The man drops his tie and glares at you.
Say, what's your line of work, friend?
Fuck this guy. What an unpleasant man. My dad says life ain't like the movies. Wish someone would kill him. Okay, yeah, that's a very balanced thing to say. Very measured and... What? No. We're about to transition into a part of the game that I'm gonna find exhausting, which is hunting down each person repeatedly just to hear out the end of their stories. I like talking to them. The part I don't like is having to walk from city to city to talk to them.
A rusted sign hangs on a run-down wooden fence. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Full extent of the law. Now there's a curious name for buckshot.
Yeah.
Apple trees. Planted in neat rows as far back as the eye can see. Though the fruit on the closest trees doesn't look so fresh.
Alright.
Not worth getting a shot over a bad apple. Your stomach rumbles. Maybe there's some other food down the road. Wild food. Food nobody signed some paperwork to call their own.
This really feels like a perpetual game of just one more, just one more. Like, oh, there's another story. Ooh, and another one. But fortunately, I'm running out of stories. Iron pickers. So there's a story to the right, and there's a story straight ahead. So that's 2 more stories. We're damn close to the end, as far as picking up new stories go. Now, we haven't reached the end of all of our stories, but I'm less keen on doing that. I mostly just want to get through the game at this point. Yeah, so this will be 217. The one behind me now will be 218. And I think 219 you get from the wolf.
The door jingles, and the tired-looking waitress flinches. At the Formica counter, a woman grabs her son to her, pinning his arms.
Wasn't me this time, I swear.
He protests, trying to wriggle free. The waitress surveys him with narrowed eyes.
I didn't!
He protests again. His mother releases him with a sigh.
We've talked about this, Charlie. You aren't allowed to bring instruments into the diner anymore. It disturbs the other patrons.
The boy nods grudgingly, and his mother releases him. The waitress is distracted, glancing from you to the boy, to the nearly empty coffee pot on the stove, and back again.
What'll it be?
She asks, more toward the wall than to you.
Sorry. Kid's got me on edge. Brought in a trumpet last week. Nearly scared all my customers off.
It's a trumpet.
Suddenly, a tinkling cacophony interrupts her. The boy has produced a triangle.
Okay. Alright. I guess that one's funny, at least. I was expecting more funny stories.
The man lies motionless beside the half-finished railroad tracks. A sheet covers his body only from his neck to his knees, revealing muscled calves and calloused feet. A group of men in prison stripes stands beside him. The sound of weeping carries on the air.
I think I know
We're
this
paying
guy.
our last respects
Yeah, fucking
to
John Henry.
One man tells you. He was the strongest man we had on the job. What the machines they're bringing in. He trails off. His heart just gave out. Happened to the rest of us prisoners sooner or later.
You know, I guess it never occurred to me when I was a kid and I heard about John Henry being on a train gang, it never occurred to me that he was a prisoner in the context of that story, that he was, you know, prisoner labor. I always thought that was just slang for people who worked on making trains or railroads, but no, I guess literally, yeah, he was a prisoner. Wow. So the story of John Henry is already so interesting because it's kind of, it's a story rebelling against the mechanization of the workforce, talking about the death of the skilled laborer, the death of the excellent laborer, of someone who was superhuman in their expertise and skill and craft, being replaced by this unfeeling, inhuman, cold machine, and it being a tragic story. But on top of that, yeah, I didn't realize that he was a prisoner.
Everyone working the line's a prisoner. Warden leased our labor to the C&O, he says.
Man, prison
I got
industrial
picked up
complex.
for vagrancy. That's what they call it when you're somewhere the white folks don't want you to be. Now I'm here till they take my body back to the penitentiary.
Yeah, man. So the prison industrial complex and this concept of wardens leasing out the labor of prisoners is in the South, in the southern United States at least, post-Civil War, really, by and large, was the replacement for slavery. You can legally own people anymore, but with laws like Jim Crow laws, you can arrest people for vagrancy or whatever the fuck you want, and if you're white and they're black and the courts are white and the judges are white and the police are white, then justice isn't going to be served, and then you have all of these people in prison, and oh man, all these former slave owners really need somebody to work their fields. If only there was a potential labor force that could be used to do that. And oh no, it's not slavery, it's part of them reforming, and yeah, the prison system in the United States has real ugly history. Now, I'll get off my fucking high horse here. Well, not really high horse if it's true. I can't tell who we're nearest. I feel somewhat obligated to wrap up Oregon here. Yeah, let's go back into Oregon. Like, I think the first place I had seen that sort of thing portrayed was in Shawshank Redemption when I watched as a kid. And in Shawshank Redemption, it's portrayed as... Well, Shawshank Redemption does a lot of things that prison movies do. The worst of which portrays the majority of the inmates as white dudes, which they're not. And portrayed the exploitation of the prisoners as a labor force as not being something endemic to the system, or typical, but as something that just happened because of the greed of one exceptional man. Which, not the case, my dude. Not the case. Still love it. Still one of my favorite movies. Upgrade my story. What are we getting? What are we getting? Thunderbirds, finally! Yeah, Thunderbirds we've had for a very long time. Just double checking to make sure that we don't have any wide-eyed stories, because we're gonna keep this up. Might as well do it right. August. And Tool. Like an angel.
I was still a kid when dames started turning my head. Long gams, gleaming eye, all dolled up, and I was done. I didn't know how to talk to a dame. I was a boy, play acting as a man. But when I indulged in a little liquid courage, I was off to the races.
Great.
But you know, the books I miss the most is the hopeful ones. Got any of those?
I needed alcohol to talk to members of the finer sex. But you know, I miss hopeful books. What kind of transition is that? Hopeful.
Leaves a warm feeling in your chest, huh? Don't know how me and Louisa came together. We couldn't have known where we'd end up. Guess we had faith. Her and me and her. Anyhow, you got any stories that end looking up? I miss those hopeful ones.
I hate the hopeful ones. Because none of these are really hopeful. The Singing Workman Near Boise. Hold on, this was hopeful, wasn't it?
Well, that one sure makes me smile. Me? I never wanted to settle down, get married, think about the future, till I got stuck on Louisa. Then I couldn't help it. The future played on my mind like Louisa played with my heart.
Is this supposed to be a portrait of Louisa? I can't tell. I really can't tell what's going on with this chest.
Anyhow, you got any stories that end looking up?
Fuck.
I miss those hopeful ones.
I miss those hopeful ones. Yeah.
Leaves a warm feeling in your chest, huh? First time I stepped out with Louisa, I put on my Sunday clothes, bought carnations, got so nervous I gave the corsage to her daddy instead of her.
Ah.
He never let me forget it. But you know, the books I miss the most is the
that
hopeful
transition.
ones. Got any of those?
That transition sucks. Just being real with you, that transition's not good.
Well, that one sure makes me smile. Family like that was new to me. Never wanted to be a daddy on account of my own. But when Louisa got in the family way, I ain't never been so excited. Anyhow, you got any stories that end looking up? I miss those hopeful ones.
See, that one, the transition makes a little bit more. I'm gonna tell him something that isn't hopeful at all. Because I don't care, the eye's full and it won't matter. And I don't want to tell him stories about
that
other
can't
people.
be true. Sorrow ain't like that. The past. I remember being happy with Louisa. Maybe people only gets a limited amount of happiness and we used all ours up.
That's stupid.
Well, here's the sun. Gotta get going soon. All this talk makes me think about my girl. Before our daughter, I never knew what it was like to have a life depend on mine. But once I held my baby girl in my arms, I finally learned my daddy's lesson. What about you? What lessons do you learn as your life goes twisting along?
I've learned that you like hopeful stories, and if we're gonna wrap you up, I'm gonna have to just load up on them. Alright, so 8 only molasses, we're done with that. So I'm gonna get millions of butterflies back in here. This isn't hopeful, so I'm gonna get the tiger cub. That seemed hopeful. Okay? Deer, this ain't hopeful. Thunderbirds, this might be hopeful. This is hopeful. Ray, we'll keep this sad. We'll keep the sad one. I think I told him the sad one though, so let's get him this one because it's weird. Please don't be random. I hope that I'm doing this well and that people actually have preferences and I'm not actually wasting my time here. Journey 20 years for love, not hopeful. Casey Jones, I guess is hopeful. But no, Casey Jones is exciting. None of these are hopeful. Yup, none of these are hopeful. That's not hopeful. That's not hopeful. That's not hopeful. This isn't hopeful. This is funny. I don't remember the welder's daughter. This wasn't hopeful. Because it was a little girl who was having trouble lifting something up. And want to get her food unless she did. And then I helped her and then she got mad. She and her dad walked off. So I don't even know what that one is. Cannibalize the twin brother. Let's get the pig one because it's funny. This is apparently sad, which is bullshit. Forgotten Her Family, Up by Bismarck, Handyman and the Lone Sharks. Nah, none of these are hopeful. Unstoppable Bronco might be hopeful. This one is hopeful, but we've already told it. The morality play is probably hopeful, actually. Fedoween is fine. The Dead Soldier at the Alamo. I don't know. I'll keep the Dead Soldier at the Alamo because that one wasn't really all that sad. Singing Working Man. This was hopeful, but we used it already. Man Who Robbed a Bank for His Father near Boise. Yeah, not really hopeful, but we already told him the bird one. And Death Bones, that ain't hopeful. Nothing about that is hopeful. These are not hopeful. Do I have a hopeful in backup here? Music echoing off the Red Rocks might be. I don't know if it is, but it might be. Time you were told to leave town. Yeah, nothing hopeful about that. The Army Major received a last-minute delivery of his grandfather's whiskey in California. I can't tell what the hell this one was, except awkward. Alright, curing meat, not hopeful. Strangely alluring to sheep around LA. Sure. Yeah, sure. And then woman with buckets of poison, gunshot man outside of Santa Fe. This isn't hopeful. Was this supposed to be hopeful? This just seems scary now. This wasn't hopeful. So, go with that one, I guess. WPA worker. This wasn't hopeful. This wasn't hopeful. This wasn't hopeful, but it was kind of weird. So let's put that on. Cat who ate an entire pony. Yeah, not hopeful. This was hopeful. Cassidy will keep. Not hopeful. Not hopeful. Lost an engagement ring. Let's get the cart horse back in here. Let's finish off this motherfucker. It's been exactly an hour, so if you're watching on Twitch, ain't nothing gonna change, but if you're watching on YouTube, well, you're just gonna have to stop by again tomorrow. Until then, we're gonna have to say toodaloo. Take care. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.